Usually when we talk about changing our lives or changing our habits, there's this expectation of just immense complexity.
Oh, totally.
It's like building a suspension bridge or something. You feel like you need blueprints and hundreds of moving parts and these complex mathematical calculations. And if you miss, like, even one tiny detail, the entire structure is just going to come crashing down into the river.
Right. It often feels like you need an advanced degree in nutritional biochemistry just to figure out what to have for lunch, you know?
Exactly.
We've been completely conditioned to believe that changing our bodies requires navigating this giant maze of fasting windows and macronutrient ratios and, well, forbidden food lists.
Yeah, and it is just completely overwhelming for most people. I mean, we tend to assume that persistent, difficult problems require these incredibly complicated, multi-step solutions.
It's just completely natural to assume, yeah.
But today, we're doing a deep dive into a source document that completely shatters that assumption. It's really wild. We are examining a single manuscript titled Weight Loss Without Starving Podcast Script.ds.b.
Yeah, and when you first open this document, you might honestly think you've downloaded a corrupted file.
I really did. The structure is definitely startling because it actually just consists entirely of a single, highly specific sentence.
Just one sentence.
But it isn't just written once. It is repeated dozens and dozens of times, filling page after page, exactly like a mantra. Meaning the author didn't provide any charts or graphs. They just provided one sentence typed over and over again.
And that sheer repetition, it really forces you to stop skimming, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
It demands that you actually sit with the words and process them rather than just, scrolling to the bottom looking for a summary.
Right, which brings us to the mission of our deep dive today. We want to honor that repetition for you, the listener. We are going to slow down. We're going to unpack this ultimate nugget of knowledge, word by word, to discover exactly why the author of this document felt this was the one and only thing you needed to hear.
It's a bold strategy.
Very bold. So, the core thesis, the sentence repeated over and over, is this: balanced meals, rich in fiber and protein, help control hunger, making healthy weight loss more sustainable without extreme restriction.
It sounds so innocuous on the surface, But the biological and psychological implications of that single sentence are just massive.
Okay, let's unpack this. I promise you, you are not going to feel overwhelmed with information today. Instead, we're going to gain a really profound, zero-jargon understanding of this one transformative concept.
I love that.
So the document demands we start by looking at the specific components we put on our plate. It says, balanced meals rich in fiber and protein.
Right, the foundation.
But I want to push back on this phrasing right out of the gate. When most people hear the phrase weight loss, they immediately equate it with eating less, right? Like shrinking the portion sizes down until you are just miserable.
Deprivation.
Exactly. But this source specifically mandates richness. It says rich in fiber and protein. If I am eating rich meals with lots of protein and heavy fiber, aren't I just consuming more calories?
That's the logical assumption, sure.
How does eating a physically larger, richer meal actually lead to weight loss? It seems completely backwards to literally everything diet culture teaches us. It's like, well, think of building a house. A lot of people think a balanced meal is just about the paint colors or the window treatments. But the text is saying fiber and protein are the load-bearing walls.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Without those two specific pillars, the whole concept of a balanced meal just completely collapses.
What's fascinating here is the critical distinction between physical volume and caloric density. The author is heavily leaning into this.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, the text isn't isolating fiber or protein as these magic calorie-burning pills. It pairs them together as the definitive biological prerequisite for a meal. To answer your question about eating more, we have to look at what happens inside the human body when you consume these specific components.
Right?
Fiber, for instance, is largely indigestible by the body.
So basically just passes through without adding to your daily calorie ledger.
Precisely. If you eat a meal rich in fiber, massive portions of leafy greens, broccoli, beans, or whole grains, you are adding a tremendous amount of physical bulk and weight to your stomach for a fraction of the calories you'd get from processed foods.
Oh, wow. So you are physically filling the tank.
You are. And then there's protein, which is the most metabolically demanding macronutrient to digest.
Wait, meaning your body actually has to work harder and burn more energy just to break down a chicken breast compared to breaking down like a slice of white bread.
Yes, exactly. It's called the thermic effect of food. But beyond the calorie math, the text focuses on addition, adding these two elements because they fundamentally alter the mechanical process of digestion.
Okay, I see.
Traditional approaches focus on what to remove, right? Remove fats, remove carbs, remove joy.
Remove joy, yeah, that's the big one.
But this mantra focuses entirely on addition. It suggests that a balanced meal isn't achieved by taking things away until your plate is completely empty. Balance is achieved by ensuring the presence of these two highly functional biological tools.
So instead of just blindly cutting calories, you have to actively build the plate with these structural components.
It makes me think of trying to slow down water pouring through a plastic funnel.
Oh, I like that visual.
Right. If you just pour a cup of water in, it rushes right through the bottom instantly. That's like eating a meal of pure, simple carbohydrates. It digests immediately, and the funnel is empty again.
And you are instantly looking for more food.
Exactly. But if you take that same funnel and you stuff a thick sponge into it, that's the fiber.
Right.
And then you add a handful of gravel on top of the sponge, that's the protein. Now, when you pour the water in, it has to slowly, painstakingly trickle its way through all those obstacles. You are fundamentally changing the mechanical physics of the funnel.
That physical slowing down digestion is the exact biological mechanism the source is demanding you utilize.
It makes so much sense when you put it like that. Yeah, and when you build that physical bulk in the stomach with fiber and protein, it creates a very specific physiological reaction. Which actually brings us to the next critical phrase in the manuscript. These meals help control hunger.
Ah, yes. When I read the phrase help control hunger, I immediately pictured a blaring car alarm.
A car alarm?
Yeah, imagine you're trying to work at your desk, or read a book, or just get some sleep, and there's a deafening car alarm going off right outside your window.
Oh, that's the worst. It completely hijacks your attention.
Totally hijacks it. You can try to use sheer willpower to focus on your book. You can clench your jaw, close your eyes tight, and pretend you don't hear it. But eventually that alarm is going to break your focus.
You can't ignore it forever.
Right, because it is literally designed by engineers to be unignorable. Uncontrolled hunger is that biological car alarm.
That's a perfect analogy.
A lot of traditional diet methods basically just tell you to ignore the alarm, just white-knuckle your way through the noise. But this document says the fiber and protein act like a volume knob or like a shutoff switch.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to examine why that biological car alarm is going off in the first place.
Okay, let's get into the biology.
Hunger isn't just a vague, abstract feeling. It is a highly aggressive cascade of hormones, primarily a hormone called ghrelin.
Ghrelin.
Yeah. When your stomach is empty, when the water has rushed straight through the funnel, your stomach secretes ghrelin. That hormone travels directly to your brain and screams, "We are starving, go find food immediately."
So the car alarm is officially triggered.
Yes. And how do you turn off the ghrelin alarm? You have to physically stretch the muscular walls of the stomach.
Oh, interesting.
Your stomach is lined with these stretch receptors. When you consume that fiber, the sponge in your analogy, it absorbs water and physically expands in your digestive tract.
Okay.
Those stretch receptors fire a signal to the brain saying, the tank is physically stretched, we are full, stop producing ghrelin.
But wait, if stretching the stomach is the only goal, why couldn't I just drink like a gallon of water before every meal?
That stretches the stomach, right?
Why wouldn't that just turn off the alarm and solve the whole problem?
It will activate the stretch receptors temporarily, yes, but liquids empty from the stomach almost immediately.
Oh, because it's just water in the empty funnel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The water rushes through the funnel, the stomach shrinks back down 10 minutes later, and the ghrelin alarm kicks right back on.
Ah, I see.
That is exactly where the protein comes into play. Protein triggers a completely different set of satiety hormones, specifically ones called peptide YY and GLP-1.
Wait, GLP-1, that's the same hormone pathway that all those new, incredibly popular weight loss drugs target, isn't it?
It is. Those medications work by mimicking the GLP-1 hormone to drastically slow down gastric emptying.
Wow.
But dietary protein naturally triggers your body's own production of that exact same hormone. When GLP-1 is released, it acts like a chemical brake pedal for your digestive tract. It tells the stomach to hold on to its contents much longer.
That's amazing.
So the protein effectively locks the door, keeping that expanding fiber inside the stomach for hours.
So they really are a biological tag team.
Hmm.
The fiber expands to stretch the stomach and turn off the immediate ghrelin alarm, and the protein releases the hormones that lock the system down so the alarm doesn't just reboot 30 minutes later.
Precisely. And this completely reframes how we are supposed to view willpower.
How so?
The source places hunger control as the central bridge between what you eat and how much you weigh because uncontrolled hunger is a biological survival imperative. It has been honed over millions of years of human evolution to keep us from starving to death in the wilderness.
Right.
You cannot out-willpower millions of years of evolution.
Which is just so incredibly freeing to realize. I mean, the text isn't saying fight your hunger. It isn't saying deny your biology. It explicitly says control hunger through the strategic mechanical use of fiber and protein.
Exactly.
It is a mechanical solution to a mechanical problem. Put the right structural fuel in, the stretch receptors activate, the hormones balance out, and the engine runs quietly.
And by repeating this sentence endlessly, the author is trying to deprogram you from the idea that feeling ravenous is just an unavoidable, mandatory part of losing weight.
Which we all just accept as true.
Right, but it is a completely avoidable state, provided you build the biological foundation correctly.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Once that biological car alarm is finally silenced, what actually happens? The text says this process is making healthy weight loss more sustainable.
Sustainable, yes.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Why is sustainable the operative word that the author chose to repeat on every single page?
Because sustainability is the ultimate kryptonite to the traditional diet industry's business model.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
By heavily emphasizing that word, the source material explicitly rejects the 30-day juice cleanses, the temporary detoxes, and the rapid crash diets. The text is arguing a very simple truth. If a method is not sustainable, it is biologically worthless.
Completely worthless.
But more importantly, the author is explicitly linking sustainability directly to the biological hunger control we just outlined.
Right, because if you are constantly fighting that grilling car alarm, if your stomach is constantly empty, you are relying entirely on conscious psychological willpower. And willpower is a finite, exhaustible resource.
It is incredibly fragile.
It's like trying to hold a giant inflated beach ball underwater.
Oh, that's a good one.
You can push it down beneath the surface using all your upper body strength. You might be able to hold it there for a day or even a week if you are really, really determined. But eventually you're going to get tired.
Inevitably.
You'll have a stressful day at work, you won't sleep well, or you'll just be exhausted. Your arms give out, and that beach ball violently explodes upward out of the water.
Which manifests in real life as a massive binge.
Exactly. The pressure becomes too much. The biological drive takes over. The beach ball hits the ceiling. And then you blame yourself for not being strong enough to hold it underwater forever.
But the failure wasn't your moral character. The failure was the biological setup.
Yes.
What this mantra is suggesting is a physiological state where you don't have to hold the beach ball underwater at all.
Which sounds so much easier.
It is. By manipulating the macronutrients, eating the rich fiber and protein, you are essentially draining the pool. The beach ball just rests comfortably on the bottom. You are removing the need for willpower almost entirely.
So you aren't forcing the sustainability through sheer grit. The sustainability is just a natural byproduct of your digestion.
Exactly.
It's like coasting downhill on a bicycle instead of constantly standing on the pedals trying to grind your way up a 45-degree incline in the wrong gear.
When you achieve that baseline biological satiety, your body stops actively fighting you. It feels nourished.
That makes total sense.
It registers the physical volume of the fiber and the hormonal signals of the protein, and it concludes that it is safe. It doesn't feel threatened by a famine.
Okay.
So it allows the weight loss process to happen naturally without triggering the metabolic panic that usually accompanies severe calorie deficits.
Which perfectly brings us to the final and perhaps most liberating clause of this repeated sentence. We've looked at what you need to put on the plate, the biological mechanism it triggers, and the sustainable outcome.
Right.
Now, we look at what you get to leave behind forever. The text concludes by stating, all of this happens without extreme restriction.
This raises an important question that I really want you, the listener, to pause and think about. Consider how deeply culturally ingrained the idea of starving is when we talk about physical transformation.
It's everywhere.
The very title of the document we are analyzing is Weight Loss Without Starving. As a society, we have almost completely normalized the idea that physical suffering, hunger pangs, and general misery are the required currencies you must pay to change your body.
It's the ultimate no pain, no gain mentality. We just assume that if you aren't going to bed with a growling stomach, if you aren't feeling somewhat miserable, you must be doing it wrong. We treat suffering like a badge of honor.
We really do. But this source is providing a radically different, scientifically backed worldview. By stating without extreme restriction, the author is declaring that this suffering is completely unnecessary. In fact, suffering isn't a sign that your diet is working. Suffering is a glaring biological red flag that your system is failing.
Let me push back on this philosophically,
Yeah.
looking closely at how the author constructed the sentence. Making healthy weight loss more sustainable without extreme restriction.
Yeah.
Is the text actually implying that extreme restriction isn't just unpleasant, but that it is the literal biological opposite of sustainability?
It is unequivocally the opposite.
Wow.
When you engage in extreme restriction, slashing calories aggressively without regard for those fiber and protein pillars, your body doesn't know you're trying to look good for a high school reunion.
Right. It has no concept of modern aesthetics.
None at all. From an evolutionary standpoint, your body interprets extreme restriction as a literal famine, and the human body is brilliantly designed to survive famine.
So it adapts.
It adapts aggressively. It radically downregulates your metabolism so you burn fewer calories at rest. It makes you lethargic to conserve energy. And it ramps up those ghrelin hunger hormones to an unbearable, deafening volume to physically force you to go hunt and gather food.
So extreme restriction is literally the mechanism that destroys sustainability. It creates the very biological environment that guarantees you will eventually fail.
Exactly.
The text implies a hard line in the sand. You can either have balanced meals with fiber and protein, or you can have extreme restriction, but you absolutely cannot have both.
They are biologically mutually exclusive in the context of long-term success.
That's a huge paradigm shift.
And that's why the author repeats the sentence dozens of times. They want to deprogram the reader. They want to wash away the cultural brainwashing of diet culture.
To overwrite the bad code, essentially.
Exactly. The extreme restriction is a false path. It's an illusion that promises quick results but delivers long-term metabolic resistance.
It's like looking at a map that says, hey, you don't have to climb over that jagged, freezing, dangerous mountain peak just because everyone else is torturing themselves doing it. There is a perfectly paved, flat road right here in the valley.
A much better route.
But you have to trust the map. You have to trust that the paved road, the mechanical application of fiber and protein, will actually get you to the destination without the frostbite.
And that is the true beauty of the logic chain presented in this single sentence. It removes all the emotion, the guilt, and the moral failing from the equation, and it replaces it with simple, effective, undeniable biology.
It really is a beautiful, unbreakable chain of logic once you see all the moving parts.
It really is.
Let's just review it one more time to really cement it for you. Step 1, fiber and protein. You don't just eat less. You actively build a rich foundation for your meals using these two specific structural components.
The load-bearing walls.
Exactly. Step 2, that foundation directly leads to hunger control. It physically stretches the stomach, releases the satiety hormones like GLP-1, and turns down the volume on the biological car alarm.
Letting you finally focus.
Right. Step 3, because you have silenced that alarm, you aren't relying on finite, exhaustible willpower anymore. You aren't holding the beach ball underwater. This makes the entire process of healthy weight loss naturally sustainable.
Draining the pool.
Draining the pool. And step 4, because the process is biologically sustainable, you completely eliminate the need for extreme restriction. You are finally free from the dread and the suffering of starvation.
It is an incredibly empowering message because it puts the control back in your hands, not through sheer effort, but through applied knowledge.
It really does. And I want to sincerely congratulate you, the listener, for sticking with us as we pulled this apart today. By simply internalizing the biology behind this one relentlessly repeated sentence, you are now armed with a massive shortcut.
A really powerful one.
You don't need a 1,000-page, jargon-filled textbook on metabolism. You don't need to feel overwhelmed by complex rules and apps. You are now well informed about the core biological mechanics of healthy living, completely free from the cultural expectation of suffering. You know the secret of the funnel and the sponge.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final, slightly broader thought to mull over or explore on your own.
I'd love to hear it.
We've seen today how this source definitively proves that in the realm of weight loss, adding the right foundational elements, fiber and protein, completely eliminates the need for extreme suffering and restriction. is a profound principle of adding the good to naturally crowd out the bad, rather than just painfully cutting away at yourself.
Wow. Yeah.
It makes you wonder, what other difficult areas in your life are you currently treating with harsh discipline, punishing routines, or extreme restriction that could actually be solved smoothly just by adding the right foundational ingredients instead?